With a certain sourcebook, we may very well have the new best min-max race to use on your new min-max character. So, anyone who's a big fan of that variant human might want to push them aside for just a minute and check out this new race. Okay, so if you're kind of new to min-maxing, maybe aren't understanding quite what this is, min-maxing is essential. Is just doing the minimum amount that you have to do to get the maximum results. So the reason why variant human is such a big race for min-maxing is because of one big thing. What that big thing is a first level feat. You might be kind of, well, that doesn't seem too strong, but first level feats can do an astronomical amount for any character build that almost anyone does, and it can be one of the best things ever for someone who's trying to build a really strong min-max character. Thanks to this new book, Spelljammers, who got a plethora of new races that are absolutely amazing, but one just shines slightly above the rest. What is that one? It'd be the Thri-kreen. What are Thri-kreen? They are a insects type race that is possibly the new min-max meta for D&D 5e. And I'm just going to give you a quick overview so you kind of know what I'm talking about. From the new sourcebook, we get the new race, the Thri-kreen, which are a monstrosity creature type that can be either medium or small with a walking speed of 30 feet. Now here's one of the big hitters that really come in with this new race. And you get Chameleon Carapace, which, while you aren't wearing armor, your carapace gives you a base armor class of 13 plus your dex modifier. So while you're rolling for your stats, if you get that nice lovely 18, and then add your modifiers from your race to it, or even possibly a modifier from something else to it, if you do a little bit of homebrew in there maybe, you're possibly walking in with a natural AC of 18 at first level, which is a pretty hard AC to hit, especially with going against first level or challenge rating 1 monsters in most campaigns. This is a really big one, but that's not the only thing that the Chameleon Carapace gives you. It also gives you, as an action, you can change the color of your carapace to match the color and texture of your surroundings, giving you advantage on dexterity stealth checks made to hide in those surroundings. On top of having a possible max 18 AC just from this race, you now also on top of that get advantage on all your stealth checks. You are now also the most stealthiest first level character in the entire game practically, due to this one trait you get for picking this race. And there's a few other things too that are really great about this, but this is probably the biggest thing really you're going to see for this race. And this is probably going to be the big thing that's really going to fight for me, at least, on whether I choose Variant Human or the Thri-kreen as my new min-max character whenever I want to try to make a min-max character. You also get Dark Vision, and then you also get Secondary Arms, which you have 2 slightly smaller secondary arms below your primary pair of arms. The secondary arms can manipulate an object, open or close a door or container, pick up or set down a tiny object, or wield a weapon that has a light property. If you're building a character, and maybe you're someone who likes to be able to switch around gear, and this isn't, of course, the 1D&D playtest where now you just switch around for, whatever you want to do, you have to take actions for that. Well, you're going to have to drop stuff. Well, now maybe you don't. Okay, well, with Thri-kreen, apparently you just are holding a whole bunch of stuff. And this is not really a overly powered trait, but this can be one that can be more helpful than most people will actually realize in most of their builds. As a lot of times in builds, you sit there and you're like, oh, I'll probably use a bow or a crossbow with my long sword, and then I'll have the shield and stuff like that. But then you don't stop and think about the fact that, well, if I want to switch over to a bow for my sword and shield, I now have to not only stow a sword, but also stow a shield. And the only other way around that is to then just drop your gear, then still one action, pull out and equip your bow. So you're still having to waste an action to gain the ability to use ranged weapons. Whereas with this one, as long as you have, say, like a hand crossbow in one of your small secondary arms, you could then have a full-sized weapon in your primary arms for battle, along with a shield. Now, depending on how your DM sees these and rules these, they may say that that's not going to be how it works, but me personally, I would say if you're someone using this, I would for sure let you use your secondary arms to use a light crossbow, because it's supposed to be simple and easily manipulated to load and reload, and then use your primary arms to carry the larger, heavier stuff. This would now mean that not only can you sit there and fight in hand-to-hand combat very easily with even a higher AC, because now you got a shield, which now puts you from, if you were maxed out at an 18 from your race, you're now at a 20. A level 1 character with a 20 AC coming out the bat. There's almost no other race that can do, there is no other race that can do this actually. And as for classes, the only class I know you could possibly pull this often is a paladin. Otherwise, you're fighting to try to add this or add that or pull this in or pull this in. And there's a few other races you could probably pull it off in. But generally, your starting equipment doesn't either allow it, or you're having to hope that you can roll well enough to get it, because unless you're going to sit there and continuously re-roll until you get that perfect number, you're just not going to get it. And then the last trait for the Thri-kreen is telepathy, which is without the assistance of magic, you can't speak the non-Thri-kreen languages you know. So, starting right off, unless you use magic, you cannot speak anything but Thri-kreen. Now, this is where this gets interesting, though. Instead, you use telepathy to convey your thoughts. You have the magical ability to transmit your thoughts mentally to willing creatures within 120 feet of yourself. A contacted creature doesn't need to share a language with you to understand your thoughts, but it must be able to understand at least one language. Your telepathic link to a creature is broken if you and the creature move more than 120 feet apart, if either of you is incapacitated, or if either of you mentally breaks the connection. No action required for that. So, as a Thri-kreen, as long as whoever you're trying to communicate with knows at least one language and is willing to communicate with you mentally, this means that unless the DM is specifically going to say that they just don't actively try to push your thoughts out, you could very well make a link with somebody and understand them without having to cast a spell. But truly, what really is going to set this character apart is the ability to min-max with this character on multiple different classes coming right off the bat. And one of the biggest things really is all those traits, but the biggest really thing is going to be that chameleon carapace. And why I say chameleon carapace so much is purely because of the AC bonus you're going to get from it. The secondary arms are going to be a big help for certain ones, but chameleon carapace is going to be just astronomical for most builds. And this is what I mean. If, say, you were wanting to min-max with a monk, well, if you do the normal monk's AC, it's 10 plus your dexterity modifier plus your wisdom modifier. So you'll probably get pretty close to an 18 AC too. Same thing with your race AC. But despite being able to score higher with it on a monk, you now have more arms to use weapons possibly. If you are a monk with a major dexterity build and you're majorly using dexterity weapons, you now have automatic bonuses to those weapons based on your dexterity score. Let alone if you're using a ranged weapon, which then you can possibly even add your proficiency bonus on top of that to make it just astronomical. So you could have a sneaky monk that just pops out of the shadows at any point in time and just does furies of blows and then pops right back in the shadows. And if you take Shadow Monk, then you're teleporting everywhere while you're doing that. And on top of that too, if you went ahead and took Shadow Monk and then later on multi-classed a little bit into Rogue to take Assassin, well now you're getting Sneak Attack all the time, which is auto-critting on top of all of that. So Monk is going to be a really good one for this one too. Another one, which is I've already kind of mentioned, is Rogue. Because now you are a rogue that can use more than just the small dagger or a short sword. And you can now also use a bow all pretty much at the same time as long as your DM deems it okay, which, why wouldn't you? This is cool if you ask me. But, DMs will be DMs about stuff. You now practically, because of your normal expertise as a rogue, on level 1 rogue, you'll not only have a major modifier on your stealth check, you will also have advantage on it too. At level 1, it's going to be nearly impossible unless you just roll absolutely terrible 2 times in a row for you not to succeed at a stealth check. Let alone if someone casts a spell to help bump it up, then it's just a guaranteed success at this point. And as you even get into higher levels too, it's just going to keep getting higher and higher till the point it's just, okay, why even ask them to roll? Because you're just not going to fail. One of the best classes to pick after you pick Thri-kreen to min-max with is probably going to be the Fighter. Why the Fighter? Well, because the subclass Archer, which in case you've never seen the min-max build of the mobile tank Archer, this is going to be kind of a quick rough view over it for you, so that way you might want to try to build it yourself. But generally, you're going to take Fighter. So starting off right off the bat, you're going to be possibly, if you rolled well enough, hitting right off with a natural 18 AC on your character without a shield or anything. And if you want to, you could start off with a shield and sword, and then now you have a natural 20 AC thanks to your shield with a melee weapon as you go into battle. Then you'll keep pushing through. Of course, you'll get action surge. But if you have a hand crossbow on you, now you hit level 3 and you took the archer subclass, that hand crossbow is now going to be your dexterity modifier plus your proficiency modifier to hit. And your damage output and the amount of times you're going to hit with this, just at this point, is going to be crazy to almost annoying for a DM. Let alone at 4th level, if you choose the feat Crossbow Expert, which now means you ignore the reload property, and then you hit level 5, which then means you get an extra attack now on top of that. So now you are at level 5, having 2 attack actions, meaning you're shooting 2 times with a hand crossbow, then shooting a 3rd time for your bonus action due to the Crossbow Expert feat you took at level 4. So now at level 5, thanks to taking Crossbow Expert at level 4 and the extra attack from level 5, you're now taking 3 shots with a hand crossbow with a larger than average modifier thanks to your proficiency, and then a large damage modifier on top of that. Well, what's going to really stop you? You're going to be just pumping out damage. And don't forget either, you also have action surge, which means you get to take an extra action on 1 turn. So if you're taking extra action on 1 turn and shooting the hand crossbow, you now have a total of 5 shots in 1 turn. Now, I will say though, technically speaking, if you are trying to do a true min-max build, Variant Human will still be better, sad to say. For one pure and utter fact is the 1st level feat. And I hate to say this too, because Variant Human is so widely used, but that 1st level feat is just so hard to beat. But I would definitely suggest, if you're trying to just have fun with a character, or if you are trying to min-max, check out the Thri-kreen. It will be the one that will just absolutely blow your mind with the ability of stuff that you are able to pull off with this character. And definitely give this one a try, because this may be the very best one you ever get to play. Definitely check out Spelljammer, because that is an absolutely great book. Without further ado, thank you all for watching.